the way we're going to explore it is, I'm going to give a little bit of background, I'm going to read a little bit of text, and then we're going to go into a discussion around it. And we're just going to flow with it. So what we're going into tonight is the symbolism of the paraduma. Why? Because it's in this week's parsha. This week's parsha we talk about the paraduma. And it's Parshas Chukas. And what the paraduma is about, in the end of the day, what we're going to be exploring is a full deep dive into what the animal soul is. That's what we're talking about tonight. So we have this, so I'll just give a bit of background. We have this mitzvah called paraduma, which is known as the red heifer. It's a fully red cow. Not one strand of hair is not red, so to speak. It's a fully expressed, embodied, passionate cow. There was only 9 in the history, and the 10th is supposed to be at the time Mashiach comes. There can be no blemish, nothing wrong with it, and never used for any sort of labor. And what we do is, what they do with the paraduma is they slaughter it, they sprinkle its blood, and they're burning the body, and then what they do is they mix the ashes with water from a living spring, and this is supposed to be used to purify someone who is impure. And the kohen does this whole process, and in the process the kohen becomes impure himself, which is a whole nother idea, which is crazy. But we're not going into that tonight. And what this mitzvah is so mysterious is it's known as, in Parshas Chukas, the idea of a choik. What's a choik? A choik is there's 3 types of mitzvahs. There's one type of mitzvah that says mishpat, which we understand exactly why we do. It's very rational. You can understand why we don't steal because an ant doesn't steal. We can understand modesty because a cat keeps modesty. So it's just logical things. Don't steal, don't kill. Then we have the edus, which are called testimonials, which are things that we are being testimony to. For example, Shabbos. God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th, and when we rest on the 7th, we're being a testimonial for God, saying, hey, I'm giving you a good testimonial, God. And we're saying, you did this, and we agree to this. Then there are things that we just really don't understand. Within those things that we don't understand, there's a phone bin right there. L'chaim u'levracha. So then there's things that we just really don't understand. Welcome. And those are called chukim. These are laws which make no sense, and there's no testimonial to it. It just is what it is. In fact, the paraduma was said that Shlomo HaMelech, who was the wisest man of all time, did not understand the paraduma. Yeah, and he understood everything. So it goes beyond human comprehension, which means we have to, in part of our service of connecting to God, we have to go to a level of not understanding. That's an idea. Now, there are 4 elements that exist in the world. Does anyone know what those 4 elements are? And earth. It's fire, water, wind, earth. And the entire world is made up of these 4 elements, which also correspond to the 4 letters of God's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei. And what we do is, what we do is, in the process of taking the paraduma, we burn it to its core, and it ends up representing its core element, which is ashes, which is the idea of material. So I'm going to go into this now, and then we're going to explore concept. Any questions so far? You can't have any questions because you showed up late, but welcome to the party. We're talking about the paraduma.
Getting called out early, that's nice.
Listen, you show up late, we gotta notice you. There's no showing up late or leaving early.
Fair game.
When someone tries to slip out, this you should have seen last time. Someone tried to slip out, we showed him where to go. Anyways, l'chaim. So, I'd like to thank the sponsor of the meet, Danny Klasner, and everyone else who I mean, we already did. Okay. So, the text starts like this. Now, what I did is I broke down 4 pieces because it's a very long mimer. This is in the Kutei Torah. The Alter Rebbe speaks about this concept, and he gives us, I would say, the answer to what the paraduma really is. We're saying Shlomo HaMelech didn't understand. I don't know if he really didn't understand this idea, but say he didn't understand. The Alter Rebbe brings it that we can actually understand. We can touch reason. We can touch a graspable idea around the paraduma. So what happens? So he goes into it. Sreifas apara la soisa efer. They burn the cow, and what came out of it was ashes. What happened? Ha'inyan dehina al derech mashal kesurfim eitzim v'al yedei zen nasim efer sha'efer hu mahusov atzmusa shal eitz hanisraf ki hakol haya min ha'afar. Rak shenirkevu boy oid gimel yisayis esh ruach mayim el ha'afar shuatzmusa v'al yedei asreifa ba'esh azay gimel yisayis hayu b'ha'etz chalfu v'chalu ba'asham misava mer kavasam. So we have these 4 elements that make up everything in the world, and when you burn down the cow, it comes into just ashes. It comes into its most core element, which is dust, or ashes, which is also related to earth. And it once had all 4 elements, and then it was down to its core. It got unentangled from all of the elements that made it up, and it was burnt down to its core. And what was left is just the earth element. And this is also the idea of chomer and tzura. So this is the idea of chomer and tzura. What's chomer? Chomer means the raw material. Tzura means the form the raw material takes on. So for example, this is a table. If this was a wood table, we would look at the table and we say, this is the form that the table's in, and in this form we call it a table. But really, where does the table come from? It comes from a tree. And that's the raw form. So, but we're not going to look at the table and say, this is a tree. This is wood. You might say this is made of wood, but we're not going to say the form that it's in right now is, can you put that on the wood? No, you say, can you put that on the table? So with everything in life, he says, which is going to be the theme of the entire discussion tonight, as we enter the Pardes, the deepening of the experience is everything in life has the facts, the raw material, and then the form it takes on. And that idea is that in life, we need to be able to distinguish between what is the raw material, and let's translate raw material, let's take it back and say that the raw material is what is actually going on here versus the form it's taking on. So let's say someone comes to you and they're talking to you and they're getting angry at you and they're yelling at you and they're screaming at you. Now the form that this person's showing up in is he's embodying anger. He's embodying this intense, heated anger. So now when I look at the form of how he's showing up, I'll say, this guy is, and then there's a judgment that comes with that. This guy is not a nice person, he's mean, he's rude, he's v'chulu v'chulu. You have lots of names that we could call this guy. But if we look deeper into what's really going on for this guy, why is he getting so angry about whatever's going on in front of him? And you see this not just with things that actually matter, because there are times that we have justified anger where we need to be angry in life. But really unjustifiable times, like he goes to a Starbucks. This guy goes to a Starbucks. Let's call him Yankel. Actually, no, that's not good.
Wow.
Because we have a Yankel today.
Wow, that's the Yankel was in my head.
Yankel.
The second he said the name Yankel.
Why is somebody angry? Yeah,
At
okay.
that particular time, you saw the anger within.
Yeah, so, okay. So let's say now a guy goes to, Yankel goes to, well, Yankel doesn't go to Starbucks. Let's say George goes to Starbucks. And George orders a Frappuccino. Comes in and he says, hey, can I get my Frappuccino? And I'll take extra whipped cream. He tells his barista. And then he notices that the barista chintzes him out on the whipped cream.
So it's a kosher stuff.
And it's George.
For example,
And George gets crazy and he starts screaming at this guy. What kind of thing is this? I told you, I even warned you. Who do you think you are? You messing with me. I come here every day. You should know this already. You must be new. Get the hell out of here. Let me speak to your manager. And he's going and he's going. He's losing himself. And what is he losing himself about? He's losing himself about the whipped cream. Let me tell you something.
We all do.
It's never just about the whipped cream.
It's never about the whipped cream.
Because that's the tsura it takes on. That's the form it takes on. So if I'm getting mad about the whipped cream, odds are there's a deeper communication that's happening inside of me. So the question in life becomes, can I see the messenger or am I only seeing the message? Can I see the form in which the thing is coming to me? Or can I distinguish from the person that's saying it and what's actually going on for them that they would say it that way? So it's about interpretation. A lot of life becomes interpretation. We have to be able to distinguish between what is a fact and what is the interpretation. As he says here, "V'achomer ha'pashut shel ha'etz hu yesoid ha'afar v'gimel ha'yesoidis eish ruach hamayim hin rak hatzura shel ha'etz v'ayadei sreifas ha'etz nishar rak etzem ha'chomer shelo ha'pashut." Now when we break things down to its core, we're going to see that it has one simple foundation. This is what it is. That's called the chomer. I would say that all healing in life, real healing and growth happens when I can distinguish between what is the raw facts of what's going on here and the interpretation of those facts, because I'll tell you something. In life, this is how we process life. This is how we look at life. Circumstance through my mind equals my experience. Circumstance through my mind equals my experience. Circumstance through my emotions equals my experience. Everything that's happening in front of me is taking on a certain form. And what's that form come from? Well, we're going to go deeper into that tonight. But let's just say, L'chaim, just take that message in for a second. Is circumstance through my mind equals my experience. Before we explain the next process, I'm going to just shoot out a niggin over here. Shoot out the niggin. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. I want you to think of, it could be today, it could be yesterday, maybe it was a week ago, a month ago, but the last time you got angry and you lost it. And just look at the last time you got angry and you lost it. Who would you lose it at? Maybe just look at yourself as you're getting angry, if you can. Imagine yourself in the circumstance which was happening. Maybe my kid woke me up in the middle of the night. Maybe my children were fighting. Or my wife told me to take out the trash. Maybe my father just didn't acknowledge me today. Or some guy got into an argument with me about pro-Palestine. Whatever it is. And I want you to be able to see yourself losing it. Can you see yourself? Do you have something? And if you could just feel that feeling just a little bit, that anger. Feel the anger in your body, the sensations that happens when you're angry. You know your blood is boiling and you want to punch through something and it's tense, it's ferocious, it's primal. What did you really want? If you could boil it down to its core, when you were getting angry, what did you really want? Yeah, I know you wanted more whipped cream on your Frappuccino. Or maybe you didn't want your wife to talk to you that way. Or your boss to ask you to stay late. Yeah, I get that. And we all want those things. We want life to be better. We want my bank account to be better. We want people to greet us with a smile. But they didn't. And life is filled with all that kind of stuff. And what do you really want when all that's going on? And if you could go back in time, what would you do differently? How would you relive that moment if you knew what you knew now? If I can start to distinguish the raw facts of life and the form things take on, if I can start to make distinctions, I can start to learn from my mistakes. I can start embodying life in a way of what I really want. I can start showing up to the people in my life like that. What if I could just really admit that when my wife told me to take out the garbage, that all I really wanted to know is that I'm loved, is that this woman loves me, that she cares about me and she respects me, and that I am loved as a person. What if when my kid was testing my limits, all that was happening was he was just being himself, and I could recognize that it's hard for me to handle that. Danny, you've got to put your phone away right now. And what if I could notice right now when someone pulls out their phone what's going on for me? What if I could just really breathe into that and feel that? What if I could start showing up to life in a way that I really want? And people could also start feeling that for me too. What would life be like? So just for illustrative purposes, as we go into it, is imagine, let's just take that example because it's an easy one, but maybe it's overused. Let's take a different example. Maybe we'll take a different example. Let's say I come home. I'm going to break it down for you so we can see what's going on. Let's say I come home and my kids are fighting. Or you could take it, let's say I tell my kids to go to bed, especially let's say tonight. I have to go to a shiur tonight. We all got to go to shiur and we got responsibility as men. And Maybe for you it's something else, like, I don't know, you got to go online and pay all the bills before your wife lets you leave. Or maybe your parents ask you to clean up your plate, whatever it is, but let's stick with, I come home and my kids are fighting. And when my kids are fighting, I start feeling something. I start thinking, first, they shouldn't be fighting. This is wrong. I need to shut this down. I need to stop this from happening. I need to make sure that my kids don't fight. Why? Because kids shouldn't fight. Well, guess what happened? I have this belief that my kids shouldn't fight. The form of how I see life, because what are the forms that how we see life? Life can be seen in a form. It could be a psychological thing. It could be a physical thing. It could be an emotional thing. It could be a spiritual thing. Life takes on forms. Everything takes on forms. So when I come home and I look at what's happening in front of me, the circumstance is my kids are fighting. I don't let that happen. I got to control that. I got to make sure that that doesn't happen. So, because my kids fighting is the wrong thing. Well, what's really going on for me is not only my kids fighting is the wrong thing, is maybe I'm not doing a good enough job as a father. I need to make sure I'm a good father, so I need to make sure that they don't fight. Make sure they get along. Make sure they have Avos Yisrael. And when I see them fighting, so I say the first time, guys, stop fighting. I'm giving you one warning. And they don't stop fighting, sure enough, because kids will be kids. And so what do? I then start feeling something. What am I feeling? I'm feeling frustrated. At the beginning, it starts maybe with a little frustration, because what's happening is they're not listening to me when I told them to stop fighting. Now, I've just got invested in the process because I inserted myself in the process. I said they need to stop, and because they didn't stop, now they have disobeyed me. So here comes another thing about myself, the form that it takes on. Instead of my kids just being kids again and fighting because that's normal for kids to do, they're not listening, they're disobeying me. Well, what happens to me when they're disobeying me and not listening to me? I start feeling feelings. I start feeling frustrated. As they don't listen to me more, I start feeling angry. It gets deeper. And it gets to a point, generally for parents, where they get to this point and it goes and it escalates to something called fury. And fury, in the most common sense, it's not common sense, but it's uncontrollable anger that needs to act out and do something. And a person will end up going and hitting their kid. Or screaming louder so their kid can be afraid, so the kid stops doing what they're doing. And then the kid, in that moment, is learning that it can't be a kid anymore, and it needs to be a certain way. Well, what happens when a kid learns that he needs to be a certain way? He stops expressing who he really is, and he takes on a certain form. Call it a tzura. I need to show up this way now, because if I don't, my father will hit me, or my father will yell at me, or my father will get infuriated and lose it on me. So the kid takes on a certain form. But let's take a step back, because I'm the father, or we are fathers, people here are fathers, and if you're not a father, then eventually you're going to be a father, Mitzvah Shem. And you're going to see that this has nothing to do with the kid. This has to do with how I'm relating to reality. Remember I said circumstance through my mind equals my experience? Well, circumstance through my mind equals my experience means what was happening for me when I was getting angry? I was being forced into something that was squeezing my existence, and in that moment I couldn't handle it. And I said, things have to be a certain way. Things have to be a certain way. They have to be in a certain form. Well, what reality am I connecting to? I'm connecting to a reality that I believe, my belief of this is how life should be. So now my beliefs took on a certain form. This is how life has to be. But what's actually going on for me when I'm getting angry? What happens when we get angry? What's happening internally when we get angry? Anybody know? Like maybe kids shouldn't fight. Maybe they shouldn't fight. Maybe they should learn to behave. But does it warrant me getting angry? Is that warranted? Is that for real? Does it warrant me hitting them? Does it warrant me yelling at them? Is it warrant me terrorizing and destroying and shattering their existence, otherwise known as traumatizing them? In fact, it says, Kol hakoyas ke'ilu oivdei avodah zarah. It says that a person that gets angry is as if he is serving idols. Now, we've talked about this before. The idea of serving idols, well, we're not actually, when we get angry, oh, you didn't do it yet?
No, there's a place.
Okay. We're not actually, every time we get angry, we like go into our bedroom, we start bowing down to idols. That's just ridiculous. It's like you get angry and you go into your bedroom and you start bowing down to idols and you dive into whatever. But what's avodah zarah? Avodah zarah means I'm worshiping something foreign. What's foreign? Well, if it's not God, then it's foreign. If it's not God, then it's foreign, because foreign means it's not connected to God. Well, what's worshiping something foreign? I'm saying God wasn't in that moment. And if I'm saying God was in that moment, then I'm worshiping something foreign. Because for me to get angry says this moment in time, this experience should not have happened. My kids should not be fighting. My kids should not be acting that way. Life should be different. Well, I'm not allowing myself to experience this moment means I'm saying this is not a godly moment. I'm trying to change the moment. I'm trying to be God in that moment. So you're worshiping something foreign. But what's actually going on in that moment that I'm worshiping something foreign is I've disconnected to the chaimer, from the chaimer, from the raw material, from what is causing this primal energy to wake itself up and unleash on my kids. I'm not aware of what that primal energy is really communicating, which leads to the next point, is he says here, "V'hine kach al derech mashal b'avodas Hashem." When we're serving God, yesh bechinas al derech zeh, v'hu ki ha'nefesh ha'bahamis nishtal shela gam ke mipnei shor mehasmol. It says that the paradum we know represents the animal soul, and understanding the animal soul to the core is through understanding the paraduma. Where does the paraduma, or where does the animal soul come from? So there's this chariot on high. It's called the Merkava, and there's.
No way. No.
What's up, boys? Welcome. Welcome.
Seen you in a very long time.
Let's get a hug. Come on, we need a real hug.
It's very nice seeing you. I finally came. He came back from Israel.
Good to see you, boys.
And I had to come with him.
See you. And just say what's
Who's
up.
this?
Just now.
Hey, Tom. Welcome.
Okay. Nice to meet you. I've seen you here last time. Really?
Hold on 1 second. This is
Fuel.
Yeah.
Fuel.
Fun stuff.
Nice to see you. Don't put it too high. lights a table on fire, bro. The whole bottle on this one.
You look Israeli.
No, but it's okay.
What's your name?
Maybe.
Aholio.
Holio?
Nice to meet you. I love the pendant.
Yeah. Holio?
Aholio. Elias.
Elias. Okay, that's easier for me. Elias.
Come, sit down. Chill.
What's your name?
Oh, shut up. Oh, shut up, man.
I've for sure seen you before.
Oh, I met you in the pizza store.
Pizza? I worked in the pizza store like 3 years ago.
Jose, where's Merker?
No, you just went to the bathroom.
Sit down, guys. Come.
Alright. Yalla, go.
Is the seat over here? You there?
Okay.
We need another chair.
We gotta fix that. Is that light good?
Yeah, we need these.
More chairs. We need more chairs.
Is this ready to go? Is this going to light the table on fire again?
Move down. Move down.
No. Okay, we're getting there. You guys, the introductions are done. Let's go. Come sit down. Habibi, let's go. We're going to take a break soon. You can acquaint yourself.
Break soon is good.
Yeah. So I'm going to recap this one point because this is it. This is what you came here for. And it's interesting that you came right after, but this is what you came for. Can I have a l'chaim, please? So we have to be able in life to distinguish. Come sit down, Merker, let's go. We have to be able to distinguish in life that everything in life is happening circumstance through my mind. Circumstance, everything that happens through my mind is my experience. So when you're pissed off at somebody and you're angry at somebody, you might think that this is a reason to be angry and pissed off at somebody. This guy did something wrong to me. As we discussed before, when your kids aren't listening to you and you just start yelling at them, you might think it's okay to yell at your kids. Why not? They're not listening to me. But what's going on in that moment for me is I'm feeling that I'm losing control. Well, I'm thinking actually that I'm losing control. And when I think that I'm losing control and I don't have a handle on my house, I need to lose myself. I need to get angry because I need to get control back. I need my kids to listen to me now, but what's really going on for me is what we're trying to do here tonight is we're trying to get to the raw facts. What do you really want? When your kid is pissing you off or he's yelling or he's doing something that's out of order or the boys are fighting and you get slapped up by your father because the boys are fighting or they're not behaving the way he wants you to behave and he just slaps you up, or soon you'll do it as a father because you're just like your father. But when you do it and you're getting angry, it has nothing to do with the kid. It has to do with you met your match. Someone is challenging your existence. So if you start to really make space and feel that anger, not in the situation, because you can't do it in the moment. In the moment you're going to screw up. 10 out of 10 times you're going to screw up. Actually 9.5 out of 10 times. But when you come back to reality without the kids around and you can sit and think and breathe into what was going on for you, what you'll notice is, well, in its root, all anger comes from a place of not knowing who you are. All anger comes from a place of not knowing who you are. Anyone disagree with me? Now, sometimes, and it's like 5% of the time, anger comes from a place of actually knowing who you are. Like when you got to go and someone touches your kid and you're going to beat them up or do something to them. Or when you need to go to war and you need to fight against Hamas. Whatever you're doing. there's a justified anger because I need it. Anger helps me step into my power. But 95% of the time, anger comes from not knowing who you are. Anyone want to challenge me on that?
You want to elaborate?
Who said that? You don't understand?
No, you got it.
Meaning you don't understand that every time you get angry,
So wait, to go back.
So challenge, now you're challenging you.
if you challenge, if you challenge, that means you want it to be about yourself, to learn. So then what you're saying is, guys, there's no talking. If you're talking, I'm looking right at you and we're going to have a conversation. Meaning to say, we're doing this together. There's no side chatter. I'm here with you. Like, don't run away. We're right here. You want to say something?
No, I didn't. I was just.
Don't be afraid. Take a deep breath. It's okay. Nobody's gonna hurt you.
I was just calming him down.
Oh, you're calming down. Yes. So anger is not knowing yourself. Tell me I'm wrong. When's the last time you got angry and you realized that it was not knowing yourself? Like,
Yeah,
did
but
you?
anger has to come from a place of like you feel like you're right. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, why do I have to feel like I'm right?
Because like sometimes I get angry at people that like I know I'm right, but like what they're saying is so retarded to me.
Okay, so if the retard comes to you, excuse me, you edit this out.
I get angry because it hurts me to see like such unintelligent people.
Well, why do you get angry?
Because they just don't
So
understand.
they're different than you.
Yeah, like
Okay, you're different than me. Should I get angry because you
and
look
that's
different than
why
me?
I stopped getting angry because I realized that they're different than me. But at the moment, like it takes me a second to realize that they're not me. So like at that moment, I get angry because I
So if they
realize
were you, you'd get angry at them.
yeah, because I'd be like, how can you be like me and be so retarded at the same time?
Can we put on this a little bit of a spin?
Yeah, let's go. But
Baal Shem Tov says,
No.
no Dvar Torahs.
No.
but that's
So
something
we're building something. We're building something.
Okay.
Anybody
So
who
your
sees
anger,
is your
your
mirror,
anger.
Yeah, sure.
okay? Anyone who sees your mirror, your own image.
I got this.
So who's angry here? Or who's stupid here?
When you're angry,
So you're saying that he's stupid? No, I'm asking. I'm asking.
Out of context. Again,
So we don't speak in code language.
when you look at somebody else, you see
When
your own fault.
Who's you? You saying you? When I look at somebody else?
Anybody.
We don't talk about anybody. We only talk about me.
But, yeah, so when
No, when it comes to this shir, we only talk about me.
their faults, you.
How do you know? What if
I didn't say it. Baal Shem Tov said it.
Okay.
so, like I don't so you basically came at me with like a argument that like you can't even argue because it's not you that said it.
Well, that's all it is. You look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Right?
Rabbi, this is not what the shir is about.
No, but it is.
That's
No,
fine,
it
but
isn't. No, it isn't. It's not about having theological discussions. We're not doing that here.
It's not about theological. It's about reality.
Nachman, it's true. You're saying the truth, but let's talk about it.
Okay, it's fine.
Let's discuss it.
Okay?
So let's go back.
It's him, it's me. Like
What's your name again?
Julio.
Adam said it's about him.
Do I have to say the full name? Because I'm going to screw up. Aholiov. Did I get it right?
You just said it, yeah.
Baruch
What's
Hashem.
your mother called?
Aholiov.
Julio.
Aholiov.
Aholiab.
So Aholiov,
Aholiab?
what does that even mean?
That is a crazy name.
It's a biblical name.
It's a biblical
What
name.
does it mean?
It's in the Torah,
In
Aholiab.
Hebrew, it's in my parsha. It's
What does it mean?
It's just I don't know.
What do you mean? You don't know what your name means?
No, it's just a name of another person that was.
You walk around all day long, you don't know what your name is. Seriously?
I know what my name is. I just don't know what it means.
Okay, homework, you gotta find out what your name means, or I'm gonna find out what your name is. Anyways, so you get angry, and you get angry at retards. Okay,
I didn't say retard.
fine,
I said
sorry.
I get people.
Sorry,
Retarded.
sorry, when people act stupid.
Yeah.
And-
if I have something to say and like they just don't intake what I say and they just
Oh, they
like,
don't,
disagree over, like,
they
nothing,
don't
over, like,
intake what you say. Yes, I'm listening.
yeah, like they don't listen to what I have to say and they
Mhm.
just like kind of ignore it and continue going with what they do. Like I get mad at those type of people just
Right.
because like their whole argument is just what they have to say and not like intaking anything I have.
Their whole argument is what they have to say, and they're not intaking what I have to say.
Yeah.
And when's the last time that happened to you? I'm just curious.
Really recently.
Yeah. So, but you said your coping mechanism is just writing them off, basically, and they're idiots, and move on with life so you don't have to get angry. Because we don't want to get
No, I
angry.
get angry at the moment, but like I get over it really quick.
Right. But it's your anger, right?
Yeah.
So what are you angry about?
I get angry that it
What are you angry about?
I'm angry about like how they're so like, this is very mean, but like how they're so like unintelligent.
Yes. It's very mean. They are so so now, I know, exactly. So now what happens when they laugh?
Huh?
What happens when they laugh?
What happens when they laugh?
Yeah.
Like the people that I get mad about?
What happens when guys are laughing when you're speaking?
It is frustrating. Like I don't.
So
like,
basically,
it is the truth.
what you just talked about is actually happening live right now.
How do you feel? How do you feel? You guys are laughing.
No, I like right now.
Let's be real. How do you feel?
No, I just feel cool.
You feel cool when you guys are
No,
laughing?
because like I know what I'm saying is right. I know, I understand that anybody else who intakes that see that as funny. Like I realize, like for me, even for me, it's funny. But like that's why I get mad.
I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's funny because if a person gets angry, according to what we just said, it's like they're worshiping idols. That's what it says in the Torah. What does that mean?
Maybe I'm worshiping idols.
So I don't think every time you get angry, you go into your bedroom and start bowing down to idols. I don't think so. Maybe you do. I have no idea.
I don't do that.
Oh, Oliav, tell me the truth. This is a very... So I didn't think so either. My guess wasn't that you did, but...
Is there a hay in front of you named hay?
Yes,
Aleph, Hey, Lamed, Yud, Aleph, Bet.
Ahaliab, it's in the
Haliyah.
I don't know.
One of the
Yeah.
great sun.
I just know it was shit and done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, so do you remember the last time that you got angry? Like for real? Guys, don't get lost.
Yes, I do.
Stay with me.
Yes, I do.
What we're doing here is we're going to show you what the Parsha is talking about live right now. I'm going to show you. Let's go. Talk to me. When you get angry, which is an expression, by the way, all expression of any dysfunctional emotions, or we call them a negative emotion, some people say it would be anger, sadness, fear, shame, guilt, all those things, come from the nefesh habahamis, the animal soul. So, the animals in the room, when we get angry, that's what's happening. We're talking about the animal soul because the understanding of the animal soul is the paraduma, which is in this week's parsha. So this is why we're bringing it up. What?
Are they instinct, or is that like instinct? Like they don't exist anymore.
There's one more left. It's coming when Mashiach is here. Anyways, let's go. The last time you got angry, what was happening? Just throw it down. You don't have to say names.
Or say names, you know.
Okay, I'll say this like very plainly. Like
Just say it.
it's like I feel like I get angry. I don't usually get angry. Like I'm very like usually like I'm usually like very like.
Hey, do me a favor. Don't give me useless details.
All right, you're right.
Don't put unintelligent things on the table
You're right.
when we're at an intelligent
You're right.
place. You know? So the language is intentional, which means it's essential. There's no extra words. What is that noise?
This is Max kindergarten song.
Yeah.
This is like this song that goes on Snapchat for me.
All right. So basically, it's like
If that wasn't clear that you should put your phone on vibrate, l'chaim.
phone is on my
I'm just saying in general.
So for me, it's like if I'm talking to someone about something serious, right? And everything that he says to me, I take it as something serious.
Okay,
something he's
can you
arguing.
stop? Can you stop, please?
Yeah, of course.
I said to you, give me the scenario. Don't give me the theory because theory doesn't belong in the room. We're already in. So give me the actual.
Scenario someone's not.
No. Stop. I said an actual story. Here you go. into the mic. Let's go.
I have to say names?
You don't have to say names.
No names.
Talk about no.
Just
You
give
say
me.
names.
You're talking to someone else.
I was talking to someone.
A friend.
Did this
To
actually
a
happen?
friend. This actually happened.
Okay.
I was talking to a friend, and we were getting into religion. Actually, it was. We're
Yes.
getting into like different types of like is religion real? Is it whatever?
Yes.
And we had an argument going on, and I got angry at him because he was saying certain things that like.
What were you saying? What was he saying?
So I was basically saying like, how can you prove that he isn't real after everything that happened, everything that's been happening?
So religion is real.
So I think religion is real. His whole idea was it's not real. It's all just, that's just how the world goes around. And the reason why I was getting angry is because I was trying to get like certain points to him, but he was just not listening to the.
So you were pro or anti?
No, I was pro.
Pro what?
Pro that God is real.
Okay, so you were pro God. So here, let's just break it down to like the core of it. You were pro that God is real. Okay,
Yeah.
as we said before. Listen, gentlemen. There's a tzura. There's a form that it comes in, and then there's the chomer. The chomer is the raw material over here. The form that it comes in. I'm pro God, and the other person is anti-God. So now, when those things hit, when those things clash, what happens? Well, I don't agree with that form. Now remember what I said. All anger comes from challenging my existence when I don't know who I am. Because why should I be afraid of somebody else having a different opinion? So my anger came from the fact that somebody was different than me. He was, in my mind, unintelligent. Circumstance through my mind equals my experience. The form that it took on was this guy doesn't believe in God. And when someone doesn't believe in God, you get angry.
The reason why I got angry is nothing. It's purely on the fact that I was intaking his knowledge. What he was saying to me, I was like, all right, I'm taking that to concern and I'm going to talk back on that. And whatever I was saying, he wasn't listening to. He was just completely ignoring. And he wasn't like even like a close friend or anything.
So
like,
my
I couldn't even,
anger
like,
is coming from that I have to listen to him, but he doesn't have to listen to me.
no, my anger is coming from a place where like I'm trying to have a genuine conversation. And like,
So again,
we can't have
the
that.
form is I am coming into this experience saying this needs to be a genuine conversation. And he's not having, again, it's the clash again, you see, whether it be anti-God versus God, authentic or inauthentic,
But I wasn't getting mad because
being listened to, not being listened to. Yes?
I wasn't getting mad because he wasn't, because he, like, I was.
Why were you getting mad?
The only reason I got mad at him is because he is the one that challenged me to like a genuine conversation about what, and we got into reasoning,
So it wasn't honoring
and
his
he
word.
didn't honor his word, and he just.
So
ignored
I
everything
honor
that-
my word,
I-
and this guy doesn't. Again, it's a clash,
and that's why I get mad.
and I get mad because he didn't honor his word. You hit your limit.
Yeah.
You met your limit.
Okay.
Okay, so now can you recreate that experience? Like, can you actually close your eyes, take a deep breath, and feel that this person's in front of you right now? You can go back to that moment. You remember where it was?
I don't want to think about this moment.
Yes, you will, because you brought it to the table, and this is what we're doing right now.
Do it.
Don't look at him. He's not giving you anything. I'm giving you the truth of who you are. You want to take it or you want to leave it? Is that what you do in life?
What?
Is you go all the way to that point and then you just F off? Or you want to go all the way right now? I'm asking you.
I'll be honest. I'm looking one of those like half off guys.
Yeah.
I don't like after I bring up my point. Like
So we're having a genuine conversation right now and you're effing off.
Just like
No.
that guy did.
Just like that
You're
guy did to
asking me
you.
to bring up a point. From,
You're bringing up an authentic conversation right now and dropping it right now.
No, you.
Let's let it be known that you're doing the same thing that guy did to you.
No, I'm not.
He said it's a mirror. I think he's right.
Not me.
No,
Whatever, bro.
What happened was, you asked to bring up a story. I brought up a story how a certain guy. I brought up a story.
Anybody at the table disagree with me? Raise your hand right now.
What'd you say?
With what I just analyzed. Anyone have a difference of opinion? Raise your hand up right now. This is a free country. Let's go. Put your hand up. Anyone thinks that what I just said is so blatantly off?
No, but that's not like.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Do me a favor.
You brought up a point saying how
has
anybody gotten mad over something that somebody else
What's
did,
the phone doing over there?
It's going on
right? And I told you, yes, I got mad over you asked a question and I answered. Now you're asking me to continue and going into it, which I don't want to do.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Because...
And I honor that and respect that, but let it be known that you're doing the same thing that guy did to you.
No.
Yeah, you
Because
brought up...
what I did with the guy was
you brought up an emotionally sensitive conversation that he wasn't ready for, and I did the same thing to you.
No, he was fully ready for it. He's the one that brought it up to me,
Habibi,
and I
he was
argued...
Ready, he was ready until the point...
He wasn't ready for you because he couldn't go further.
No, but that's different. That's different.
Stop.
You asked me a question.
Stop.
And I answer you.
I'm gonna take it deeper if you don't stop. Okay, just be with me for a second. See what I'm saying. Just see it. The animal's always trying to protect itself. You brought the animal to the table. We got emotional, and the animal said, "No, I'm not going there." Okay, because the godly soul is not afraid to go anywhere. It's not afraid to experience anything.
All right.
It's unlimited. Meaning I can go here, I can go there. I'm free. I'm free spirit. So we brought up a point that was sensitive. And I'm honoring the fact that you want to go any further, which we don't have to go any further because you didn't sign up for this when you were coming here tonight. And I honor that. But let it be known that this is how the animal operates. We meet points in life that become emotional, and that's where we get stuck. That's as far as we're willing to go. When a kid was being emotional, as a kid, our fathers and our mothers and the world told us it's not okay to express those emotions. There's consequences to this. And in fact, even if we did express those emotions, we weren't met with what we actually needed in the end of the day. So we take those coping mechanisms that we built as a kid of shutting it down and not going all the way in life because we want to feel safe in that moment. And why do we want to feel safe? Because we don't know who we are. What does it mean to know who we are? It means I have to be able to recognize that I am an infinite being that can handle and experience everything in any moment. And I am not afraid. I'm really not afraid. You're talking about the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov said, Baal Shem Tov's father said to him, do not fear anything but God himself. That's it.
But I do.
Yeah, I get it. You're also fearing coming to the table right now.
Yeah.
Do not fear anything but God himself and love every Jew. Whatever that means. Okay, that's all of life in the end of the day. But the process is I have to be able to understand, not in my mind, in my body, and that's where it starts to get real, is what's going on for me right now as I'm experiencing anger, as I'm experiencing sadness, I'm experiencing fear. What is happening for me right now? All anger comes from my existence being challenged.
Okay.
My existence being challenged means that when somebody's different from me, I need to tell them it's not okay to be that way by being stronger than them. So whether it be my kids are fighting, whether it be someone has a difference of opinion, whether it be someone cut me off when I was driving, whether it's the guy that served me the Frappuccino with less whipped cream than I asked for when I told him when I got there and he didn't listen, it's all anger comes from my existence being challenged. I don't know who I am. And therefore I get lost in the sauce. I get lost in the whipped cream. I get lost in my kids' experiences and what they're doing and how they're showing up. I get lost in, this is really too challenging for me. It's not too challenging for you. You're just afraid to face this.
I just don't want to get into it.
You just don't want to get into it, so you need to shut it down. We need to shut it down. We need to shut down things in life because they're too much for us. Why are things too much for us? Because we don't know who we are.
Because when I think about it, it's not that deep to me.
Because
Like I get mad at that second, but then when I think about it, like I just don't care about like what this guy has to say, because I know what I think is right.
Then you're not
But
you're not a genuine person.
The thing is, I just get mad.
Then you're not a genuine person.
I just get mad at the point, like when like a guy doesn't listen. Like if he's challenging me to a genuine conversation and he doesn't listen to me, I'll get mad at that second. But
say it
after
again.
that,
he doesn't listen to me. That's where your anger is coming from.
Yeah, but then after that, I don't really think about it. I don't care
We're
about
not talking about how you cope with your anger problems, brother. We're talking about the moment that you got angry is you thinking that this guy needs to listen to me. And there's a reason that you think that.
There is a reason, because I feel like it's just a way of...
Could I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Who in your life did you want to listen to you? Who needed to listen to you?
In general?
As a kid, yeah.
As a kid? I can't answer that question. I don't even know.
You could feel into it, breathe into your body, close your eyes.
I don't know. No, like genuinely. Like I'm not gonna lie. I don't know.
You know why you don't know?
I'm saying as I was
You know why
older,
you don't know? We don't know because we're thinking about it. As a kid, we needed to make sense of things, and we went and escaped from our bodies into our brain. He's asking you to feel into something. It has nothing to do with your brain. When you say I don't know, that means you're trying to use your brain to figure out your emotion.
Yeah.
Close your eyes.
So
I'm trying to think about a time.
He doesn't want to go there, Nachman. He's not going there right now. He's not ready right now.
I'm not ready.
Let's go. Give the mic back. The mic's over. Let's go. No more
I'm
talking.
just saying, you're gonna do this, whether you do it today or 10 years from now.
Here, let's
If you
go.
do it today,
I'll be honest with
you
you.
get a head start in
I
life.
just don't.
Pass the mic back.
I
I mean, right now, you're thinking that you know better than anybody.
No, I genuinely don't. I know the
All
only
I'm saying is like this, if you do this now, you get a head start in life. Or you're gonna be forced to do it in 10 years from now.
Yeah,
Which is fine either way.
But that's basically, you're putting me in a spot, you're basically asking me to lie. Like, you're putting me in a spot where I just don't know how to
I'm not
answer.
asking you,
Like,
I'm just
I'm
asking
thinking.
you, I'm asking you to
I'm
feel,
thinking.
I'm asking you to
You're
close
not
your
supposed to
eyes
think.
and breathe.
You're not
All
supposed to
I'm asking you
think.
to do is close your eyes and breathe.
Feel.
That's it.
Yeah, man. Feel the moment.
Here's what I'll explain what he's saying, because sometimes it's not clear. You know, sometimes we come into an experience like late, which pisses me off. I'm joking. And when we show up late to the table, so we're coming in the middle of mitten act, and we're ready to climax, and you're like coming, you're like, what just happened? And what happened is like this. If you could feel into your anger today that you had for the person just a couple days ago, or whatever it was, this unintelligent person, what a feeling is in the end of the day, a feeling is so primal, it's so strong, that actually when we start feeling something, all these old memories pop up. Why is it all these old memories pop up? Because that feeling that you're feeling today from that person has nothing to do with today. Like I said, 95% of all anger comes from yesterday. So if I feel into the anger, then what happens is my body, which your body's sending you messages every day. Your body's sending you 4 times the amount of messages that your brain is sending to your body. Your body's sending to your brain 4 times the amount of messages, called the subconscious, but you have to tune in and pay attention to be able to understand what the communication is. How do we do that? So we learn how to breathe into our bodies. Why do you say breathe? Because when we stopped feeling, the moment that we weren't allowed to feel in life is the moment that we stopped breathing. We said this shouldn't exist anymore. Breath means I allow this to exist. That's what breath says. It says yes to the moment. So when I breathe into something, you're going to be recognizing in your body, it's not in your brain, that this anger is something you've been carrying for a long time. For a long time. And it just keeps on coming out. Why does it keep on coming out? Because at some point in time, somebody challenged your existence, challenged who you were. And then from that place, you need to try to figure out who you think you are. And then you go into this form of, I'm this guy, I believe in this, I believe in that, I believe this. And then when someone comes and challenges your existence, that anger pops back out. Why? Because someone challenged your existence a long time ago. It wasn't today. It was a long time ago. and we're trying to get to the source of it. Why? So when someone is unintelligent and they don't have something smart to say, I don't need to get angry, but I can handle that, because when I was a kid and I said something unintelligent, they also did the same thing to me. Or when I was acting out, or I was just being a kid, or when I wasn't behaving in cheder, or my Rebbe slapped me up, or my father slapped me up, or my mother did this, and so on and so forth, the chulu v'chulu, all the examples are there. So what he's asking you to do is he's asking you to let go of the anger that you hold on the person, because it has nothing to do with him. Verstehst? Anyways.
So why did they slap you off?
Well, good question. So I'm gonna say this one point, and then we'll get to that. This next point, which you just asked the question, is going to answer that point. It says when we talk about the paraduma, is the whole idea of the para, which is really a holy experience, meaning the para comes from the pnei hashor, which is on the merkava, which exists in the spiritual realms. It came down, and it comes down in the form of a cow. But everything in this physical world has a spiritual counterpart, or not a counterpart, but actually it's almost like a holograph. What you see up there is what you see down here. Merker, you want to say something?
Let's go.
There's no sorries. Just own your existence. So the cow down here, what is it drawn after? The cow down here, the animal down here, the animal consciousness is drawn after chitzonim. Or not it's drawn after chitzonim, but that's where it gets all of its life force from. What does it mean, chitzonim? Chitzonim means, well, the cow is on the ox is on the left side of the merkava. The left side is called smol. It's called the left side, and smol, and it's smol doicha. Smol pushes away, and then the right side is, what's on the right side? Anyone know?
Lion.
The lion. And it says the right side is yamin mikareves. It brings in. It's like chesed. It's kindness. It's like you get connection. You get attachment. The left side is smol doicha. What does smol doicha mean? The source of where the animal comes from, which is not who we really are. The animal's not who we really are. At the same time, it adds something to my existence, because the soul, let's say, is really who I am, always connected to God. But the animal consciousness is not who I really am. What is the animal consciousness after? Always self-preservation, survival, and instant gratification. I always want the next high. I always want to feel good. I always want to be in the pleasure. People say today, I want to be happy. What they're really saying is, I want to escape life because it's too damn difficult. There's no such thing as happiness is found in my bank account, or happiness is found in when the guy talks a certain way, or when I'm eating a certain food, or when I'm with a type of girl, or when I'm hanging out with good people that are intelligent. That's just called me escaping the pain of life. So the animal's after instant gratification. That's what it wants. But where does that come from? What's the source of that? It's because smol doicha. Smol doicha means, what God said is, when God gave us smol doicha, He pushes us away, He means that He offered substitutes in this world for Himself. And what that means, practically speaking, is, imagine you have a father who says, hey, I did everything for my kid and I don't understand why he's so ungrateful. I'll tell you why he's ungrateful. Because you did everything for him but give him yourself. You gave him substitutes for who you are. And what a substitute for who I am means is when God really desperately wants a relationship. It says He has a taiva, He has a craving to have a relationship with us, and we choose the substitutes that He offered in the world. What's the substitutes?
Maybe your siblings.
What do you mean your siblings?
Maybe like anyone that you're like close with.
No. I'm not talking about that, because that's godly. That's a godly experience. What you're talking about right now. When someone wants a relationship or love with a sibling, that's just a mirror of how we love God. A sibling love is it says it's called Basi Lagani Achoisi Kala. What's that Achoisi Kala? Achoisi means you're my sister, right? Don't get lost in the details. Here the point is when I choose my phone, when I choose Instagram, when I choose to watch porn, when I choose to smoke cigarettes, when I choose to whatever else, you name it, escape the reality of life, when I choose all those things, what I'm really after is a deep spiritual connection to God. Okay, just take it in. Take in what I said first, okay? Now, the animal believes, we have two consciousnesses. We have the godly soul and the animal soul. The godly soul says, I'm always connected, I'm here. There's nowhere to go. Find God in any moment, anything, in any experience. He's everywhere. But the animal says, he's not here, and he's not here, and I got to take what I can get right now, right here, because I may not get this. This thing called love, this thing called attachment, this thing called connection, this thing called spirituality. I may not get it.
So like you're craving for it.
So the craving, small doicha, means when I go after things that aren't godly, so to speak, the instant gratifications of the world, what I'm really after is not the substitute, not the porn, not the cigarettes, not the cell phone, not the Instagram, not the joint, not the cigarette, and so on and so forth. There's so many today. What I'm actually after is, I'm actually after the right side. I really want, what do I really want? I want connection. I want connection with God. I want connection to who I really am. How do I know that? Because the day after, or the moment after you do the thing that you do, you feel like crap afterwards, and you need more of it. Because you always need more of the thing that can never fill the void that you have. You always need more of the thing that can never fill the void that you have. Wait, listen, let it settle. If you're thinking about responding, that means you're not listening to me. Take it in, take a deep breath. For real, I'm saying, take in what I just said and know that the animal in its source is really holy. It wants something really holy. What does it really want? It wants to escape reality. What's escaping reality? It means I don't want to be here. Why don't I want to be here? Because really I want connection. I want to be connected to spirituality. I want to be connected to God. So I can't be here right now because this world's too damn hard for me. So what are the things that are going to take me out of reality? When I smoke a cigarette, I'm going to be taken out of reality. Imagine a person that's so stressed and all of a sudden they go for a cigarette. In that moment, they escape reality. Do you understand what I'm talking to you? Or you go into the vape. Or you go into the alcohol. Or you lose yourself in Instagram just going reel after reel after reel, and all of a sudden you just spent 4 hours on Instagram. You didn't even realize that you existed in that moment because your existence was escaping whatever it is that you have to deal with in your life that you don't want to deal with. But the animal in its source of where it really comes from is after spirituality. See the parallel?
But you're not conscious of it.
Of course you're not conscious of it. That's why we're talking about it.
The whole idea is of you not being conscious of it.
So we want to make it conscious. That's what
Like an illusion of making it, okay.
So it's not an illusion anymore. Now we're conscious of what we're usually unconscious about.
So now when I'm going to watch TikTok, for example, now like I'm going to have the idea.
Now you have a little bit extra awareness to say, hey, what am I doing? What's going on for me in my body? What's going on for me?
And what is awareness? Awareness is escaping, not escaping, is expanding my ability to think. Because I'm thinking outside of how I normally think. Well, how I normally think, the form of which I normally think is, right now I'm feeling stressed, I'm going to TikTok. Or right now I'm feeling really stressed, I need a cigarette. That's how my brain is wired. The neural pathways in my brain say, go after that, because you're going to have to face what's called an emotion something that we all don't want to face because we don't have problems in life. We just have emotions that we don't want to feel. And when I've been hit with an emotion that I don't want to feel, so where I go to is escaping the reality of what's coming down the pipe and going to the craving. And what's the craving? To connect with spirituality.
But it's also addiction. Like cigarettes, you get addicted to them. It doesn't make
Habibi,
You're getting
Don't-
into the same feeling.
don't just throw ideas out. Addiction comes from, in its rawest form. There's the form of which it comes from, but in its raw material, it's after spirituality. What do you mean you understand? No, you don't.
But how can you make that make sense to someone that doesn't understand?
Okay, you want to break it down right now? I'm going to make sense to you. If you'll give me presence and you'll be intelligent for a second and listen, and you'll hear what I'm saying, I'm going to give it to you all. But you got to take it in.
Yeah.
Are you ready? And it doesn't involve you doing any work on yourself. Don't worry. I'm going to shift your perspective right now. Is everybody ready for this?
Yeah.
Should we sing a niggin first? Or?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, fine.
Let it break.
Welcome to our newcomers. What's your name?
Jeremy Melnick.
Jeremy. Nice to see you. I know who you are. But... And who's the other guy?
Jeremy's son.
Who are these guys?
Jeremy's son's here.
That's your son?
Yeah, he was here last year.
And who's the other guy?
He was here before he went to Israel.
Oh, yeah.
He was here 1 or 2 weeks.
And who's this guy?
Weinman, Moshe Weinman.
Nice to meet you. You guys live in Toronto? I know that's stupid for me saying that, but it's like Thornhill and Toronto are two different...
Okay, let's go. Down south.
Guys, by the way, it warms my heart that people cross the border for this. I love it. Thank you. What kind of niggin should we do? Oh, we're going to do a Zusha. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Do like a dance again?
Here we go.
It's like a dance. It's like a movement thing. Like
Hey,
corner.
It's not a regret.
Yeah. You reject your father.
Pardon?
You reject your father.
It's funny to say that. Sunday night, got into a big Sunday night, got into like a big hit, and I wrote like a letter to him after. Basically asking for a connection. I haven't seen him
I'm gonna give it to you right now. When they come back.
after the cigarette.
Whoa. Shuva Hashem, Asher Yisraelu, Kafikim Banegel. 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 Hazorim Batim Terina Ayiksayeru Hazorim Hazori I
Let's come back into the room, gentlemen. Come back to the room, gentlemen. I want to give you a gift right now. If you'll take it, it's free, but nothing in life is free. And I don't mean to call anyone out, but anyone who's on their phone right now, we have a bin at the front over there that we put our phones in. Because we're not going on our phones. We don't go on our phones. Our phones, just for letting you know what a phone is, a cell phone puts me in jail. Because it doesn't allow me to be present to what's happening in front of me. And if I'm here, you might as well be here. So, some people think coming to a shir or the pardes is about the watermelon. Some people think it's about being on your phone. But I know why you're really here. I know that what you came here for was you're looking for the truth. All flow in life, all flow. When I say flow, I mean it comes naturally, comes from the right side. Someone gives from the right side. A willingness to give, a wanting to give. You know, I've seen so many times in shul, I'm here, someone comes and they're like giving with their left, and then the Gaba comes and he switches to the right. No, you give with your right. Because we are a manifestation of God, so it's not just a thing, oh, big deal, I'll give with my left. No, it's an actual thing that when I take the right side of my body and I step forward and I put myself into it, I actually want it. And if I'm giving with my left, I'm actually energetically not wanting to give. That's the truth. So when I'm flowing with life, I'm going into the right. And what's the right? It's chesed, it's love, it's connection. What is connection? Well, it's how God really wanted to create the world. It said that when God wanted to create the world, that he wanted a relationship, he wanted connection. That was his original intention. How it came out was a whole different story. But chesed, connection, the right, is you really get me. You get me. Left, as we said, is small doicha. It's a substitute for me. Left is a substitute for me, so I'll give you an example. You tell your child, here's the iPad. Go play with the video game. Watch the video. Go outside and play with this new basketball net that I got you. Go ride your bike. Don't you appreciate the bike that I got you? Or your rollerblades? Even deeper, even if I give you something, it's pushing you away because it's not me. So when I'm not giving me, I'm actually pushing you away. So I want you to close your eyes and I want you to imagine every relationship in your life that you can imagine that you're not giving the real you. That you're giving a substitute, even if it's for a moment. Oh, I just need some time. I need to figure out stuff, so I need to just give them the iPad. But I'm giving people, not me. I'm pushing them away. What's Kedusha? Kedusha is you get me. It's called sanctification. It's called separation. Separation from what? It's creating a sacred space between me and you where only me and you exist and there's nothing else. And I'm diving into that moment because I'm getting the real you. Kedusha is, it's just me and you. There's nothing else. You get me. It's oneness. It's holy. It's intimate. And the left, klipa, here's a substitute for me. And God had to do it that way. He had to make the world in a way that you don't get him. But how did he do it? He threw it over his shoulder. He didn't want to do it that way. He gave life to a world not wanting that we should dive into those things that he doesn't really want. What does he really want? He wants you. He wants connection with you. He's waiting for you to open up to the connection, that oneness, that flow. Give from your right. Give him you. Do you kiss God and put him away? Does God exist only in certain moments and certain places for you? When I'm showing up as a father, when I'm showing up in relationship, what do I give? Do I give my wife many nice gifts? Or am I showing up and giving her the real me that I don't really need to give her the gift because I've given her everything? Oh, I'm going to take my wife on a vacation now. Why? Because you're not giving her you. Nothing wrong with vacation. But what if I could just really give her the vacation of her life? Let's give her you. What if I could give my kids me? What if I could dive into really wanting to be in relationship with them, whatever it is, whether it's playing Lego, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's taking them to show, whatever it is, I'm just letting them know that I'm going into your experience. Breathe. And what do you really want beneath it all? When you look at your relationships, when you look at what's really important, what do you really want? When I can separate all the substitutes, what do you really want? So that's what we're exploring. That's what we're here for. We're here to explore the idea of why do we really start looking for substitutes in life? Why do we look for substitutes for attachments? The reason we look for substitute for attachments is simply because I don't feel attached. I don't really feel spirituality. So if I'm living and I'm not connected to spirituality, what's spirituality? There's a strong definition of spirituality that makes sense when it comes to this context. Is the idea of spirituality is being able to feel connected in any moment and any place. Do you understand what I'm saying when I say spirituality? When I say I can feel spiritual, what that means? Meaning, where is spirituality found? It's not in Shul. It's not necessarily in Shul. It's not in the base of Mikdash. I'm connected more to this feeling of spirituality when I'm there, but spirituality means not limited to any place and form. That's what spirituality is, above time and space. And if it's above time and space, that means spirituality is wherever I can bring it in. I know it's a nice saying, but when I don't feel connected to that energy, when I feel like there is no spirituality in this moment, well, that's when everything starts to go wrong. That's when I start to look for substitutes, because what I'm looking for is that attachment to the thing that I'm connected to, that I don't feel connected to in this moment, and I need to stay connected to that because it's so hard to feel that void, and I don't want to feel that void, so I have to go to substitutes. That's the way he created. That's the way God did it. That's the way he created the world. So when I'm after things, when I'm actually so much into the substitutes, and people would call it today, they say, and we talked about this last time, is addictions. When I become an addict, it's really a spiritual journey. It's really me wanting to connect to spirituality, but I can't feel it. And the more I have the void, which means I have more of a search for it, the more I'm going to get connected to the thing that I'm connected to, because I constantly need that feeling of attachment. And for the animal, it needs not just the feeling of attachment, it needs that instant gratification because it needs to escape reality, because reality is too much. So when I go to those things that we mentioned before, it's a spiritual search because I need this connection to spirituality. Now, let me tell you something that they don't necessarily tell you in life, that you don't know, and you came here to learn this, and we talked about it last week a little bit. But really, search for spirituality is a search for a relationship with your mother. That's what it is. The reason it's a relationship with your mother is because when you got bullied in school and you went to school, I mean, like, the reason that you went to school was because you spent 7 years with your mother. And when you spent 7 years with your mother, she gave you all the attachment that you needed to one day prepare you to face life. That happens after 7. Right? When you go in grade 1, you start going to school for real. It's like, it's getting real, like it's one teacher, it's all those students. It's not like all these helpers. It's not like mimicking the house. It's like I'm really stepping into life. Well, that's scary. If I don't have attachment to that, then all sorts of problems are going to happen in school. But problems also happen. For example, I get bullied in school. Let's say you get bullied. That's a problem. Well, what's the problem when you get bullied? Well, for those who have been bullied, know that when I get bullied, after that experience, I start believing things about myself. Like, you're a loser. Or I'm weak. Or I deserve to get bullied. Or there's no love in the world. And then I come home, and the person that reprograms me back to my essential self of knowing who I really am is, who do you think it is? Mother. Why is it mother? Because your mother is that love. She embodies love. She's the one that held you for 9 months. She's the one that nursed you. She's the one that took care of you. She's the one that is supposed to be taking care of the home. So my mother teaches me to have a relationship with myself. Well, who's my real self? Spirituality. I can feel good under any circumstances because I always have that connection to mother, which makes me feel good about myself. That relationship that we have with our mother lives inside of us, and that's our connection to spirituality. Right? When you're in the womb, you learn all of Torah. The connection to spirituality, all of it happens inside of the womb, inside of my connection with my mother. That continues until age 7. And my father teaches me a different relationship, which is a relationship to commitment to life, to religion, and so on and so forth. But mother teaches me to be okay with everything. And she embodies that principle. When she has a kid, she says, I'm willing to drop everything to have you. So mother drops everything to hold a baby for 9 months, go through pain of giving birth, and it's a painful process. I don't know, maybe. I would imagine it's a painful process. I could see that it's a painful process, but I don't actually know. And they do it over and over again because they're just an embodiment of that level of love. If I didn't get that as a kid, the programs of my life, the form that it came into, is going to cause me to go down this experience of needing spirituality, which is synonymous with connection. I need connection. I need to feel the flow of life. Flow of life comes from the right. I need to get that. I need to be in connection with that. And what I'll do is, the search for spirituality is, what is it? Feeling good about myself. But when I don't feel good about myself, I need to feel good in a moment. Because the animal believes that he's never going to actually attain this thing about feeling good about himself because he was wounded and hurt, and that's a consciousness that lives inside of us. And when I was wounded and hurt, I believed that I wasn't going to get it, so I need to get it in any moment, any place, and anything, and that's with my addictions. That's where it comes from. All of addiction comes from a lack of relationship with where I came from, which is my mother. And I'm in search for that always because I don't believe I'm going to get love. So I need to create that constant escaping reality of the pain of my existence. Because if my mother didn't love me, then guess what? You don't love yourself. And if you don't love yourself, you have to disconnect from that pain because it's too painful to face that you don't love yourself, so you have to go and search for it somewhere else in a moment of escaping, in a moment of feeling good in just a moment. So my search or my addiction is my search for spirituality. It's search for a relationship back to feeling good in any moment, any place, any time. And this can come in many forms. It can come in the form of, needing to get validation from people. That's an addiction. Needing to get validation from people, needing to be seen by people, needing for someone to say thank you to me all the time. Otherwise, I'm not going to feel good about myself. Needing to connect to those things that are taking me out of reality. Our phones. Right? Our parents didn't sit on their phones when we were growing up. They didn't have phones to sit on. Well, some of our parents did. Maybe I don't know how young you guys are, but the general idea was they weren't doing that. And we're sitting on our phones today because we're searching for spirituality. So the addict is always about feeling good in that moment because it can't feel good because it lost connection with its mother. If I heal the relationship with my mother, if I work through the relationship with my mother, I'm here to tell you right now that you will overcome any addiction. And that's what he says over here, because at the core of everything, at the core of the behema, at the core of the animal consciousness is what's called a koyach hamisaveh. It's called a craving. We all have cravings. We have cravings for things. You shut down the cravings, you shut down life. You can't shut down the craving. If I shut down my craving for a cigarette, let's say, if that's what I feel like I need right now, and I say, you don't do this, and you just try to shut it down, but you don't have an alternative, you're shutting down your soul. You're shutting down your search for spirituality. So the form in which it's coming in which the tzura says the chaymer and the tzura. The chaymer is I am in a search for spirituality. There's a koyach misaveh. I have a craving. I want something out of this. And you're saying don't smoke, repress or suppress that need. You're shutting down your soul in that moment. Because if you don't have an alternative, you don't know what you're really after, then the only way you can live is disassociated. The only way I can live is on antidepressants. The only way I can live is on anti-anxiety. Shut it down, because if I don't shut it down, I'm going to feel that pain. So I have to have a way of coping with the pain. But the search, or the desire, the craving for cigarettes comes from a very spiritual source, which is saying, I want to feel good right now. Feel good about what? Feel good about myself. We live life, as I said, circumstance through my mind, through the experience of who I am, determines how I show up to life. And what I didn't get as a child, I'm going to demand from the world outside of me. I'm going to expect it. I'm going to say, this is what I need to exist. And then I'm going to put it on the world, and then I'm going to start to judge the world. I'm going to say, these people are a bunch of you-know-what, and those people, and I'm going to keep on doing that. And thinking that everybody else needs to change because I'm just trying to recreate the childhood that I didn't have. That's what it all comes down to. Because at some point, my parents gave me, what did they give me? A dose of reality. What's the dose of reality? They met their limit, and they gave me a substitute. And the moment they gave me a substitute, I got lost in the substitute. I got lost in thinking that was the thing that's connecting me to my own spirituality. I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know what I'm after. I'm not even aware. I'm not even conscious of what's happening here. And then we start justifying, oh yeah, listen, it's just porn. It's not like I'm actually cheating on my wife. It's just, no one's getting hurt over here. But that type of attitude actually downplays the mission of our whole existence, of what are we really here for? And what are we really here for doesn't happen in 10, 20 years from now. It happens in this moment. The Holy of, there's no phones. L'chaim. So, if I have anxiety and I have no attachment, I'm not attached, I'm not connected to myself, or I wasn't connected to my mother, because that's what you said it comes from. Potato chips, smoking, attention I get, all those types of things are my source of life. That's where I get my source of life from. What are you laughing about? You want to say something, yeah? No, but I see your smile. It's good. If you have something good to say, I want to hear. And then the parent says, I gave you everything. What do you mean? I sent you to the best schools. I paid for your education. I give you the camps. You had your own bedroom and this and that and whatever they gave you. I gave you everything. Yeah, you gave me everything, but you didn't give me you. And that's why I'm angry. I'm angry because I didn't get you.
That's the Chassid's thing. I don't want anything, I only want you.
Yeah, Dichalein. I just want you. So the opposite of addiction is connection. And most addictions are done in isolation. If you think about it, people do things in isolation. They're not going to tell you about what they're doing. And then when you confront them on it, they're going to say they're not doing it. Because they don't want to believe that about themselves. But then there's the day that it comes, and it happens for a lot of people. And it's big in the world right now, where they start identifying as an addict. I'm an addict. Why am I an addict? Well, because life humbled me, and my stuff got out of control, because I had this void that was so big, and I couldn't control myself. And it got to a point where I was damaging myself and the people around me, and I needed to be checked in somewhere. And the addict is the most spiritual, because he really can't hold back from his search for spirituality, but probably had a bigger void growing up in his childhood. Probably had a mother that really wasn't available. And the reason that the child is in search for that mother that's available is because he knows that love. He lived it for 9 months in the womb. It says in the Gemara that the best place in the world to live is in the womb. Because everything's there for you. It's met. You don't have to think about everything. But you're sort of experiencing life, but you're not really, because everything's taken care of. Sort of what we talked about last week with the spies, is the spies had everything taken care of. They didn't want to leave the womb experience. They didn't want to face the challenges of the world. They wanted to stay connected to the goodness of life. And we want to stay connected to the goodness of life. So if we had a good relationship with our mother, I'm not talking about now, I'm talking about back then, because the back then was more important than today, then we have a good relationship with ourselves. And then we feel spirituality. And then we don't feel the need to search for something, because I got it. And I can pick up a siddur and I can daven, I can feel the spirituality in davening. My mind is not about the stock market, or what's for dinner, or lunch, or breakfast. It's just simply being in that moment, because I feel good in myself. Does that make sense? Are we saying good? Anyone have anything smart to say? Stupid's fine also at this point. If you've made it this far, you can say whatever you want.
Rabbi Fisher used to say, denial stands for don't even know I am lying.
Yeah. We go into those unconscious states. We go into those unconscious states. We go unconscious. We have to go unconscious. Like I said, we have to disassociate, because it's too painful to face the truth that maybe my parents didn't actually give me what I actually need. It's too painful to face that. So I have to tell myself a story of, I had the perfect childhood. Well, if you had the perfect childhood, you wouldn't be struggling today. Hello, I told you, feeling spiritual is connected to mother. Now, father energy is being able to go out and face the world, because when the kid comes home from being bullied, remember there's a second part to the story, he has to go back to school the next day. Who's going to teach him how to face those bullies? The father. Who teaches him how to face life? How do you show up to life? Do you show up with anxiety? Do you show up facing the world? Are you able to talk to people? Are you face them in the eyes? Are you able to stand for what you believe in? What about when you're in business, and maybe for some people, a woman wants to shake your hand and you let yourself go because maybe you're not committed to the process fully. You're cared about what other people think about you. I'm not judging anyone, I'm just saying an example. But am I able to go out there and make something of myself? Or since COVID, did I just stay in my home because that's the latest and the greatest right now, is to not have to face the world, do everything remote. So the Father teaches you how to face life, be committed to things, and really, so if you break it down, it's mother's spirituality and father's religion. Right? Because spirituality is feeling good in any moment. It doesn't come in any form. It's not like, that's why a woman doesn't have to be bound by mitzvahs. She doesn't have to be bound by mitzvahs specifically for this reason, is because she's in touch with spirituality. And a man is the idea of commitment, going out into the world and making something of yourself. Yes?
Can the giving over of the energy of the mother or the energy of the father to the child, can that be sort of crossed over the line of being the actual father and the actual mother?
I did not get that. Sorry, it just flew right above my head. Sorry, try again.
Like, I, as Yochanan's father, can I give him spirituality somehow? Not my wife. And can my wife give him Torah and commitment through some of her action? Like, can we cross over that barrier between the two of us and sort of take over for the other person sometimes?
So, yes, because simple answer, the complicated answer is not really. The simple answer is yes, because we do have female and male energy. Remember, you come from, I know the world doesn't believe this, but we actually come from a male and a female. Sorry, I said those two words. But we come from a woman and a man. We have both those energies inside of us. So you have a feminine energy inside of you because you come from the feminine. You can do that. Whose role is the kid's feeling spiritual? It's the role of the mother, and that's why she's the womb holder, and then she's the nurser, and then she's the akeres habayis, until he actually goes into school, which is like facing life. Then the father takes over at around age 7 until bar mitzvah, and then continues from bar mitzvah until he gets married, because he's teaching him how to embody the mitzvahs. For a woman, it's more, she's with the mother till 7, then she goes to the father till about 12, 13, and then back to the mother. She goes to the father and then back to the mother at age 13, because she needs to know how to embody being a woman because she's a woman. So the woman is supposed to be the one to give over the experience of spirituality, because she's an embodiment of that. Now, if the woman's not doing that, sometimes in the dynamics of marriage, you have a more feminine husband, which he is, you call him like more loving and caring, and the woman wears the pants, or however you want to call it. Like, she's more dominant, she's more committed, she's more structured, and that just means I'm still stuck in not completing one of those stages for myself. So remember I said 0 to 7's mother, and then it goes to the father and continues. So if I didn't complete the 0 to 7 with my mother, odds are I'm going to stay connected more to my mother, because I never really left to my father to become the man that I need to become. Does that make sense? And my wife, well, she went from the mother and she stayed stuck to the father because she never really completed that thing, and she becomes more dominant, so she's more masculine and he's more feminine, and then they attract each other because we're really looking to complement those energies. So you get a mother's son and a father's daughter, which are the reverse energies of really what we're supposed to embody as who we are. I probably just got way too over your heads, but I hope you hear what I'm saying, kind of.
Like a yin yang.
What?
Like a yin yang.
Yeah. But in the end of the day, we need to be, as men, in our place, which is facing the world, more masculine, and a woman needs to be feminine. But if she doesn't have permission to be feminine, because the man's not dominant, or vice versa. She's not letting go, and he's not able to let go to be the man. That energy's stuck. There's going to be some tension in the relationship because really they don't feel like they're in the right spot in life. And it's a subconscious thing. It comes in the form of fights that don't even make sense of why we're fighting, but it's basically saying you need to be a man and you need to be a woman. That's what the fight is. It's all based on that. Us being ourselves in connection means in connection to ourselves, who we really are. Go down to the core of everything. The core of everything of who I am is I want to feel good about what's true tainug, true pleasure, is feeling good about being who I am. I'm in connection with myself. And I can only always feel that when it's fully aligned. Like if I was born a woman, you should be okay to be a woman. If I was born a man, you should be okay to be a man. The biggest problem of today is we're not okay to be ourselves. That is the biggest problem in the world today, hands down.
Where do we draw the line between being good with where we are and being complacent, as well as striving to grow and to, I guess, level up?
Where do you draw the line?
That's a good question.
Because it's not really my question, it's your question, so it must be something that you're struggling with. And maybe it's not you're struggling with, but you're just thinking about. Chaim. The soul's infinite, so it's going to infinitely expand into more of itself. What I knew yesterday, I hope, is more than what I know today is hope. I hope is more than I knew yesterday. I hope that that's the case. I would like to say that's the case. What I knew last year, 10 years ago, why I married my wife 15 years ago, like this, the process of me marrying this woman 15 years ago, I hope is not the same reason that I'm married to her today. Because if it is, then I never upgraded the software. It's like even a phone upgrades, like new things come out all the time. So if I'm not upgrading the software, that means the relationship is also not upgrading. It's based on a decision when I was 25 years old. Like, what did I know when I was 25 years old? Are you kidding me? If I stay stuck on that, the relationship stays as a 25-year-old kid. You hear what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you? We also have infinite layers. We're infinite beings. And we have to be willing to meet that. But what is working on yourself? Working on yourself really means just expressing who you really are. Well, what am I really? I'm an infinite being. Well, what's in the way of me getting in touch with that is the left side, is the substitutes that we got. The substitutes that the animal says, the animal consciousness says, it's the here and now, take it or leave it because you're not going to get this. And any time in my life growing up when I felt threatened, like my needs were not going to be met, I had to, as a coping mechanism to life, go out and gravitate towards something that would make me feel connected or escape the reality of the pain that exists inside of me. Child's very good at that. Very good at that. Right? Because technically the pain of having to face maybe that my mother can't love me or my father can't love me or that the world's a scary place and no one's there to protect me or whatever the other thing is so intense for a kid that they would die instantly because kids are emotional beings. So what they have to do instead is they have to adopt a coping mechanism to deal with the intensity, which usually means disassociating from who they are. It's a fragmentation of their existence, which is the birth of the ego, so to speak.
What do you mean by birth of the ego?
What?
For us laymen out here, what do you mean by birth of the ego?
We're going to the ego. Listen, I don't know if we can go. Ego is edging God out. That's what it really means. It means I'm pushing God out of my life and I'm telling myself this is who I am. This is who I need to be. So the child, when he becomes aware of himself, like Adam Harishon, when he got kicked out of Gan Eden, the ego said, I have shame now. I need to wear clothes. I need to have levushim because I became aware of myself. Ego is self. The identification and feeling of self is my ego. This is who I am. This is who I need to be. A child gives birth to that existence when it gets hurt for the first time, usually when it feels pain.
When you say ego, knowing yourself, do you mean like getting in touch with your neshama? Or is it more
Well, not the real self.
Right, that's what I was
It's the self that the people told you that you had to be. Basically what the world, the tzimtzum, because the God that we know is the God of parts. Right? That's how we know him. We can only take him in parts. It's Elohim. But really, God is full expression. He doesn't want to exist in fragmented forms. He doesn't want to exist this, all these types of things. He wants you to see the oneness of everything. But the only way we could take it is in parts. That's the way we can understand it. So he got fragmented. What happened is there was a rupture in the existence of the oneness, of being able to see everything for what it is. When a child is young, it sees the beauty of life, everything for what it is, and it just experiences it, going through things, it's enjoying life, it's having a good time, until someone tells him he has to be something, and that's when the world placed the first tzimtzum on him. This is who you need to be. They contracted, limited my existence. They put me into a box. And the goal of life is to come outside that box, is to recognize that the infinite being that you are, the childlike person that you were, the one that was creative, that wanted to be Mashiach or bring Mashiach, he's still there. We just need to access him. We need to be able to bring him out. But when he learned that he wasn't going to get that, or he couldn't be that, and the world made it very pragmatic for him in his living of what the world's all about, he learned a different type of existence. He learned I have to be this in order to get love. I need to get good marks on my test, or I need to behave so my parents don't, and so on and so forth. V'chulu v'chulu. There's so many things that limit our existence, and that's the ego. And basically, you would describe it as the chicken. The chick lays an egg, and it's 21 days that it's sitting in that egg. After day 21, it pops out. Now, if it comes out any day before day 21, it's going to die. So the ego protects, right? It's a protective shell, what I needed to tell myself or what I would need the world to tell me. But eventually, if you live connected so much to your ego, you're going to disconnect from the world. And you're going to live in your shell, and you're going to be in isolation. If you don't break out of then, you will die, because you can't live based on that existence anymore. It's an outdated program. I need to learn to break out. So that's when they say like bittul, or nullifying the ego. Well, to nullify the ego, I had to have an ego to begin with. So value the process of where the ego and how it was created. But now we got to upgrade the software. We got to be conscious of what's really going on, because we woke up. A child didn't have that level of consciousness, because only at 13 is when you get that level of consciousness, which is called a connection to my nefesh elokis in a pure form, that it's like fully downloaded. And that's why I'm mechuyev mitzvahs at that age, because now I can start taking responsibility for life. 13 today really became 31, because that's when most people start to wake up to life. It's when they hit real challenges. It's reverse. We're not like we used to be. They made them weaker today. We're still sitting in the womb much longer, and living in our comfort zone, not facing reality, and living thinking that everything's good, everything's great, everything's amazing, everything's Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. But we're in denial, like you said. So what wakes us up in life is the animal. Why does the animal wake us up? Because the animal's emotional. What does it mean the animal's emotional? So the animal, like he's saying here, gets triggered. So somebody wakes up an emotion inside of me, and I go berserk. I get angry, or I feel sad, or I feel this fear. And that's waking me up to the parts that are unintegrated, that I haven't worked through, where I haven't brought God into my life, or I haven't brought that infinite God into my life. I've been using other things to help me cope with life. So I met something that challenged my existence. Now, who am I really? I'm an infinite being. So if I've met something that's triggering me, it's showing me where I don't feel infinite anymore. I don't feel that connection to infinite. That's my work. That becomes where I need to work. Now, if I shut those feelings down and I tell myself that I'm good and I'm complete, that's a coping mechanism, yes?
Yeah. The things that disconnect us from, the thing that disconnects me from myself also disconnects me from my mother. Can.
Let's just give me an example. What are you really saying?
I've been observing a lot, like my smoking, my
Okay.
weed intake. I noticed I have to be super high to have normal conversation with my mother ever since I got triggered. I started feeling something. My mother saw me extremely triggered and wanted to know what it was, and I just couldn't.
And the weed did what for you?
The weed allowed me to pretty much put in a bubble and calm her down by observing it from different places and just use different words.
So would you say the weed relaxed you?
Yes.
Okay. So I was looking to be okay in that moment. The weed was a search to be okay in that moment. What's the search to be okay?
Connection.
Connection to what?
My mother.
Yes. So if I have the need, and I say need because there's a difference, I'm not going to tell you that you can't make a l'chaim. I'm not going to tell you that you can't smoke a joint. I'm not going to be the one to tell you that, because that's not true. The truth is, it's my relationship to it. If I feel that I need it and I can't function without it, well, what am I telling myself subconsciously? I'm not okay in this scenario. When my parents, not my parents, but when parents put kids on drugs, and when I say drugs, I'm talking about, and I'm sorry if anyone did this to their kids, any form of medication that has to deal with, let's say I'm not talking about when someone has a real disorder. I'm saying when my kid just had ADD and I put my kid on the ADD pills, and I'm not blaming you for what you did. I'm telling you right now so you can know right now, for all of you that know right now, is what they told the kid was, there's something wrong with you. You're not okay. No matter how many ways you try to mix that message around and figure it out, you're telling the kid that they're not okay the way they are. There's something wrong with them. So, if that happened, and I met a guy recently, we were doing some nice work together in Florida, and from age 6, and you want to know the craziest thing he tells me? He says, I knew that I shouldn't be taking it. I knew that I didn't want to take it. And then, when he's 29 years old, they can't get him off of it, and they wanted to get him off it. They were fighting with him for 10 years to get him off of it, because it put him into this, like, whatever type of existence, like robotic. And then he finally got off of it, but that's hard deprogramming. 23 years of every day. It's every day. So, again, back to the conversation. If I feel that I need it, it's because there's something incomplete inside of me. Anything that I feel that I need means that I didn't get what I needed. Because I should be able to be okay with who I am in any given moment.
So the healing isn't necessarily with the relationship, but the healing is the relationship with being okay with me. And then what is it that I wasn't okay with?
Yeah. It's what is it that I wasn't okay with, and that's the expansion thing. That's working on the layers. Any trigger that you have, anything that you don't feel okay, you feel that there's an emotion coming up. It's a communication from your animal soul saying there's no God here, and I have to somehow figure out how to realign that and say, hey, wait a second, there is a God here. You just don't feel it. You're not connected to it right now, and we got to work on bringing that message in to reality, because again, what I said was the craving that the animal has to go out and get something and do something and act in a certain way is a spiritual craving. It's a craving for spirituality. In its source, all it really wants is to connect to God, and it just doesn't know how. It doesn't feel it. You have this story of I was telling Hoff this story the other day. They have this story of a guy, he goes into a tailor and he gets a suit. In the suit, Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson was telling the story, I just heard it. He says they have a suit, makes the guy a suit, comes back in when it's done. The guy puts on the suit, he really likes the color of the suit, feels good. But he notices that the leg on the right side, the pant leg, is a little short. So he tells the tailor, and the tailor says, just pick up your foot a little bit, and it's totally fine. So he goes, okay. And then the left shoulder is, a little bit like up on the left side. So he says, just put your shoulder up. And the waist, and he's making all these moves, and he literally walks outside of the tailor shop, and some guy noticed him. He says, that's a really nice suit, and he's really amazed at the suit. He's like, wow, that's such a nice suit. I can't believe that guy can tailor make a suit for a cripple. And that's what life is. Life is this tailor-made suit that we cripple ourselves, try to fit into this certain existence of who we were told and thought we need to be, and we don't actually know ourselves. We don't actually know our potential. We cripple ourselves when we give in to those things that we say are needs. They're not needs. Right now, if you need them and you're bleeding out and you need to survive and you're in survival mode, yes, go and take that thing, go and do the thing. I'm not telling people to go off medication. I'm not telling people to go off their coping mechanism. I'm saying recognize where it's coming from so I can start to shift in a new way of living. Because you're not really an addict. You're in search for spiritual connection.
So that brings up, this is not a need, but when it comes to davening, I find smoking a joint before really, once again, relaxes me.
Again, so the joint when I speak to my mother, or the joint when I speak to my Father in heaven, is me thinking that there's something not inside of me, and I need something to access that thing inside of me that I don't have, right? See what I'm saying to you? It's a message we're telling ourselves in that moment. Meaning, I'm happy for you that, and it's probably a positive experience. What's wrong with that? If you go to a spiritual place and that's what connects you, who's to say that's wrong? That sounds like a beautiful experience to me. But the question is, do I need it? What's my relationship with it? Can I only feel spiritual when I'm doing that? Then it's not real spirituality. Because real means I need nothing. Spirituality, by definition, means formless energy, which means it doesn't come in any form. I can experience it anywhere, any circumstances, in any given moment. And if I touch something, if I take something to do that, I'm messing with the spirituality, right? I'm taking away from the spirituality. I'm limiting the spirituality. I'm saying it can only come in that form. That comes from the animal soul. The animal soul says this is the only way to do it. Survival. So I'm davening, it's a holy thing, and I'm feeling spiritual, but the animal says, I get it, But hey, buddy, listen, this is the only way. Come with me. I'm going to teach you how to do this thing.
Question.
I don't know. Okay, yeah, let's go.
This is the format. It's my first time here.
No, you're doing great.
Thinking about like things like the Kataras and Kiddush and like Mapanim and all the physical things that we have in our spiritual service, when is it okay to imbibe in physical means to get to a spiritual place? And how does that balance out with the whole mother-father relationship and being stable and spiritual?
Yeah, good question. Anyone have an answer? So, those are 2 questions, by the way. Really 3 questions. But the first question, but again, it's, but it's that's a good answer. Yeah, no, that's good. But it all comes back to what's my relationship with this thing, and it takes, as they say with the paraduma, is burning it down to its core. It's getting to the core. What do you really want here? And what I really want is, when I'm doing these things, what I really want is, so if I'm, let's say, when you're saying the Kataras, you're just using that as a fancy word for weed?
Well, I don't know what was in the Kataras, but I've heard that Kennabussam was like cannabis, and like the priest was like hotboxing in there, and like they had to drag him out with a rope after.
Yeah, so we're connecting to it. I think I believe that these things were used to get to spiritual places for sure. I believe that. Wine, the fats of the meat, is like, it like gladdens the heart, like brings out something. This is, there's this, yeah, for sure. And then the question is, let's just be honest with ourselves and say, do I treat it like that? Do I make it sacred? Like wine, when we make Kiddush on wine, that's a holy experience. It's a very sacred experience. We're bringing in Shabbos, the whole entrance of Shabbos, like we're really materializing it. We daven, but we're materializing Shabbos comes through the wine. That is a powerful experience. And am I drinking wine throughout the week? Just because I like a nice wine and it feels good and it takes me to places. Do I need that wine? Like, would I be able to say that I do that and make it sacred, or am I just searching for sacredness? Am I just always trying to find spirituality, or am I just following this path and then opening up to spirituality in those moments because I could feel it and it feels real for me? In other words, I say this sometimes, but like, you know, the Chachamim had mitzvah night, Friday night. Like that was it, once a week. Means it was sacred. It means it was once a week. I had to prepare for it. And like everything goes into that. And it's a moment that happens in time. Some people actually like really think that that's pretty messed up because they want to experience that connection, that love, and why not? Do it more and more and more because I'm connecting to my wife and so on and so forth. And then there's like, can I take all this energy and place it and hold back? Like they also used to hold back from eating for an hour. When they had the appetite, they would hold back and push it off and delay the gratification, delay that experience. And I think what that's saying is it comes down to how am I relating to this experience? Am I using it too much? Am I relying too much on that thing, or am I making it a sacred experience? Like I believe, and it happens in the shir, hey, what's up on the camera, is that people go out, we have joints, connect, and come back, and we use it for this. It's not to disconnect. It's not to escape. It's not to run away. It's we're going into an experience tonight and we're using it. We're uplifting it. But then tomorrow morning is a nice wake and bake because I like that feeling and I'm trying to recreate that experience for myself. Is I got to be able to integrate that without the thing. I got to be able to detach from that substitute for what I'm really looking for is spirituality and connection. Someone takes the mushroom or the ayahuasca or whatever form it comes in, what they're really searching for is spirituality. I'm not going to say those things are bad. But what's your relationship to it? Do I need it or am I making it sacred? And making it sacred doesn't mean doing some voodoo rituals around it. It just means doing it less often. Right? Shabbos happens once a week. We don't experience Shabbos all week. We bring Shabbos into the week, but we're not getting drunk every day or making Kiddush every day. Kiddush is for Kiddush. Friday night mitzvahs are for Friday night mitzvahs. I'm not saying that I'm holding by those levels by any means. But that's where we're going. We're a nation that is showing the world how to have a relationship with substances. The Yid says, I could take on these things and I can show you the holiness in them. I could show you how they can become sacred. Does that make sense or no? So, I think that's what we're doing. L'chaim u'levracha.
Did that answer your third question?
The third question, you were like father-mother relationship, something. I don't even know what you were asking there. But really, your father wasn't perfect because his father wasn't perfect. And you know why his father wasn't perfect? Because he went through the Holocaust. And if he didn't, well, whatever, he's just lucky. But the idea is you had an absent father. A lot of us had absent fathers, which means my masculinity was compromised because I didn't learn masculinity. I learned the shell of it. Maybe my father did certain things that would make him the man that we want to see him as, but he didn't really have an available father. So too with my mother. But we're changing that. We're changing the paradigm of creation. We're working through those things. But we have to be honest with ourselves what we got, because if we're honest with ourselves what we got, then we're integrating parts that were unintegrated. If you can't be honest about that, you can't fake it to your kids. You're giving them a substitute because you're giving them what you wanted to get, but you don't have yourself, so they don't feel it, because you can't give what you don't got. So you have to really work through the parts that were unintegrated. And that's what he's saying over here is anywhere where the animal shows up and has that trigger and it's coming in, that it's challenging me and I'm losing myself, I'm really diving into animal consciousness. I need this, it needs to be this way, it needs to be that way. You're not seeing the core of what you really want. You're not going all the way. You're stopping short. You're putting it on the world. Because you know why we put things on the world is because our needs weren't met as a child, so we expect now our unmet needs become expectations to the world. So we really just wanted a better childhood. That's what it comes down to. And it's okay to admit that. It's fine. It's totally fine. Because it helps you be a better father. And it's not shaming your parents. It's actually wanting more from my parents because they were more, but they didn't get enough. So what do you want from them already? So it's not hurting them. It's just saying they didn't get enough themselves. But acknowledge the pain and acknowledge the stuff that you went through. Don't be in denial.
One last question, sorry.
Yes, sir.
It seems like an ongoing domino effect that's happening from generation after generation after generation.
Yep.
How does it reach like that one domino that just doesn't want to fall?
Because there's a guy that comes to a shiur, and in that night, he decides that he's going to change his life forever. That's where it comes from. Now the shift is it starts in perspective. Starts in me being conscious, aware of there is something more to this life that I've been living. It can be better, it can be more. And I'm not going to put up with how life has been because I'm going to be the one to change it. And in order for me to change it, I have to know who I am. But if I don't know who I am, then I expect that someone else is going to be this big leader that's going to be that domino that you're talking about. Maybe it'll be my son. Maybe it'll be someone else. But me, who am I? Look what I got. This is all I got. And so I'm identifying with my own limit of needing to be a domino. You're not a domino. You can dominate the domino. I don't even know.
I'm Fat's domino.
You're what?
That's domino.
But really, what do you want to be? Who do you want to be? For real, who do you want to be? Jeremy, who do you want to be?
Abba.
Yeah, Abba Melech Haolam.
Not that.
Yeah. But for real, and so what's it going to take for you to be Abba?
Be his dad.
Yeah, so what's it going to take?
Show him the ropes.
But just bechitzonius? Because bechitzonius is just wearing a costume. What about panemius? What about if I could work out my relationship to my own father?
So is that a literal statement, or is it like internalizing?
Internalizing. Because your father's not going to change. I got news flash for you. He is who he is. And it's not about going and saying, Dad, I want to start having a better relationship. Because maybe he's not up for that. Maybe he's just okay with how it is. And this is how he needs it to be because he's feeling limited himself. So it's working through things internally. And what you'll notice is as you work through things internally, well, you're going to start changing how you relate to him, and the relationship will shift naturally. It just will. Because you're going to appreciate him more, and you're going to dive more into it, and you're going to understand who he really was, and you're going to be able to see his greatness, the greatness of his soul, of who he wanted to be, but he couldn't. And when you see the greatness of his soul, you can connect to the greatness of your own soul. And when you can connect to the greatness of your own soul, you can give that to your son. That's the panemius that I'm talking about. The dignity of who you are and who your father was. And we have to respect our parents. Why? Because life came from them. That means they came first. God wanted them to come before us. He divinely orchestrated that plan, the whole thing, and he wanted it that way, so that means we have to respect what came before us, because that's what we do. The givers of life are some people that we can never repay them for what they did. They gave us life. You can't repay your parents for giving you life. What are you going to do? The only thing you could do to repay your parents is to pay it forward by having a child or by making something big impact in the world. But we have to be able to go back to our parents and honor them. We have to. Like if you want to be okay with who you are, because you came from them, you're 50% mom and dad, you have to honor where life came from. You must. And you cannot have a real relationship with God if you don't do that. Because they're in the place of God. Fifth commandment, it's on God's side. It's sitting on that side for a reason.
Is that also connected to knowing yourself?
Knowing myself, if I could tell you something right now, and I'm going to share it with you right now. Everything that you're doing in your life, nobody cares about. That's the end. No, everything that you're doing, nobody cares about. Because you're just trying to be a somebody and trying to figure out life. Fine. If I could tell you the number one course in life that you should be taking is learning your own relationship to your mother and father. That is the most important thing besides Torah, because obviously you need Torah in your life because that's the blueprint for life. That is the blueprint to who you are. It's your mother and your father. So there is no more important thing in your life. Everything else will fall into place. If all you do is work through everything that you have around your mother and your father, everything else in your life will fall into place, guaranteed. Or your money back.
So when you get triggered by something,
I mean,
So when you get triggered by
we get
something,
offended by someone that says something, if we knew ourselves, we'd just be able to like walk away from it and smile.
well, maybe you don't even have to walk away from it, but you can stand in the presence of it, because if I know who I am, the dignity of my soul is I'm infinite, which means I can handle everything. I can take this. What do you mean?
Why does it have to tie into to our parents?
Because our parents are the path to the infinite. Because our parents are in place of the infinite. It says, "Kaberes avicha v'esimecha." Why? Because Rashi says they are in place of our parents are in place of God. If our parents are in place of God, that means our path back to God, the one that chose the parents for us, is through them. So if you want to have a real relationship with God, you have to have a real relationship with your parents. Internally. Any big tzaddik, anyone you know any big tzaddik that didn't respect his parents? Name one guy that didn't respect his parents. He was a huge tzaddik. He said, I disconnected from my parents and I became this huge tzaddik. He didn't disconnect from his parents. He left his father's ways. But he actually respected him a lot.
What if for your father just going your own ways?
And just because he left his ways doesn't mean he didn't respect him. What did you say? What did you say, Jeff?
I feel like for my father going my own way was disrespectful. And
Okay.
Isn't that all a father wants though, is for their child to
meaning,
go their own way?
how is it not for a father that I tried giving over to him and he didn't take, and he found his own way?
But that is taking on the highest level, is finding your own way, is accepting what your father has given you, and
Why is that the highest way? I mean, Avram was chesed and Yitzchak was gvura. Did he follow his way?
respected him, and he took what he could.
Of course.
He used it to
But
build himself.
he was different.
Of course be different. You're not saying not be different.
Well-
I'm saying Abraham, for example, he took everything his father taught him and he used it to build his life, and he used it to say...
Of course, but he was different.
Yeah, of course.
So do I need to be like my father in order to have a relationship with him?
Not at all.
Because I'm my own unique expression.
Yeah.
What your father really wants is a relationship with you. And if you can learn how to have a relationship with him and be yourself at the same time, that's all your father is really looking for. He's not looking for you to do exactly what he's doing. Because if he is doing that, then all he's saying is, I can't have a relationship with you if you're outside of this form that I call what needs to be. And he's just met his own limit. And that's more about him than it is about the relationship. So he met his own limit in relationship. Right? When our parents don't accept what we're doing, they met their own limit in relationship. The unconditional love, so to speak, that they have, they don't really, because they have unintegrated parts of themselves and they're just projecting it onto you and us.
But we just have to
And we
accept
just-
that and be at peace with that. And like,
Well,
what does it mean?
not just
An
be at
internal,
peace. Yeah, internal relationship means, let's say, internally, what I really feel towards my parents is resentment.
Yes.
But externally, I do all the right things. I go to my parents' house for dinner and I'm cordial and I talk to them nicely and so on and so forth. I have to work out that inner resentment because my inner resentment is what fuels my whole experience of life. So if my father was the bad man, and I didn't appreciate him, so then anyone who's going to represent him in my life, because that's how life works, because God wants you to go back to your father. He's like guiding you subconsciously back to your father. He's going to make all these other men show up in your life that represent your father or similar traits and characteristics to it. You're going to get triggered in order to work through stuff, in order to come back to your father, because he's always going to guide you back to your mother and your father. He's just going to do that. No matter what. That's where it's going. And you can go across the world and try and figure it out, but
You'll meet your dad.
yeah, you're going to meet your dad. Wherever you go, you're going to meet your dad.
That's fucked.
Well, yeah, that's life. And any man in your life that you're triggered by is just something about your father.